Welcome to the Fourth Step Podcast. On each episode, we interview recovering addicts and learn their story with addiction. Through exploring personal journeys, we get a glimpse of the depths addicts fall to and their path in recovery. We hope you enjoy the episode. Welcome to the Fourth Step Podcast. My name is Kevin, and I am an addict.
My name is Josh, addict, co-host.
Hi, Josh.
Hello, Kevin.
I don't know why, but none of the guests pick up on, like, when I say I'm an addict. Normally in a meeting, what do you say?
Yeah, I'm Nick. I'm an addict.
And we say, "Hi, Nick."
Yeah.
Well, it's also
Hi,
we're
Kevin.
not. We're also
Hi, Josh.
not. We're also not in a meeting though.
What's
I know.
going on?
I know. But I'm just so used to it. It feels foreign that nobody responds.
Yeah.
Anyways, with us today is our friend and guest.
Nick, addict.
Hi, Nick.
He pointed at me you can't see it. It's not on video.
Yeah. All right. So,
Applied a little pressure.
Yeah.
so everybody knows the deal here, right? You know what we're doing.
Yeah, I
We
think
can ask
so.
you questions. So, what's your clean date? How many years?
February 23rd, 2009, 16 years.
Sweet. See, we didn't have to do any math. I love it.
He knew the math for you.
Yeah. So we normally start out kind of like childhood, and if there was any trauma or if anything was really relevant in your childhood that you thought maybe linked to how you felt when you first started getting loaded.
Well, my friend Dave, Hawaii, Canada Dave, always says about trauma, he's like, yeah, two people can experience the same thing, and one person can be traumatized and another person can be like, oh, that's normal. And I don't know if I'm one of those people that's like, that was normal or something like that. Jen said something at the meeting last night. Toxic positivity. I've never really heard that before. But my brain, at least today, takes things and makes it like, oh, that was that was a normal thing. So nothing I wasn't molested or anything or had any, traumatic things like parents dying or anything like that growing up. I had a relatively normal childhood. I would say the first time I experienced anything that was maybe traumatic for me as a 9-year-old was we moved. And when we moved, I had made friends with everyone knew me as a 9-year-old, when we were growing up in Fremont.
Oh, okay. Bay Area.
Yeah, in the Bay Area. And then we moved to another town. We moved to Danville, and it's pretty close, but none of the kids or the people are the same. You know? And these kids were way different. They were all athletic, and they had stuff, and their parents had stuff, and
Yeah, Danville's got money.
yeah. And my mom drove me in a brown Volvo to school, a rust brown, the station wagon, and everyone else had Lexuses and Mercedes and stuff. And immediately I started getting made fun of. It was the first time anyone called me fat, because in Fremont I was like, oh, this kid's everyone
Normal.
Yeah, normal. I was a normal kid, and then all of a sudden I moved somewhere else, and I was like, oh, I'm not a part of anymore, And
I experienced that transitioning into middle school.
really,
From
yeah,
elementary school into middle school. Yeah.
yeah.
Just
Were you fat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a change of environment. All of a sudden, more schools came together, kids you don't know, and your reality just changes, as far as relationships, a bunch of people that you haven't met before, new, I guess, hierarchy of kids, shit changes.
Has anyone ever described you on the podcast before?
No.
Oh my God. If you've never seen Josh in person, he is a large man, and not out of shape. He's very muscular and stuff. So when you see him, he's a pretty big dude. But
Wait, Josh, how tall are you?
6'3".
6'3", and how tall are you,
I
Nick?
was just gonna say you're not small, Nick.
yeah,
No.
but you have more mass than I do. You have more bone density and muscle.
Sure.
You could just,
Yeah,
you're a different breed.
I'm a Neanderthal.
yeah, you're a different breed. You and I are two different
I'm a
breeds.
fucking Cro-Magnon, dude.
Both of you guys are 6'3", and I'm 5'6". So Like hugging
You're
either one of you
5'6"?
guys is like really embarrassing.
Well, you're a spiritual giant, so
We
you
can-
seem much taller.
we
Kevin.
just coddle you when we hug you. Tuck in.
Rub my head.
Come here, little buddy.
yeah,
sorry.
rub his belly. Yep, the spiritual giant.
Go ahead.
No. Yeah, so that was, I mean, as far as trauma goes, like,
Did you
no,
say
not
small in
really.
stature but a spiritual giant? Is that what you said?
I said he's a spiritual giant. That's why he seems
yeah.
taller. You know.
Yeah.
And you could rub his belly and stuff too.
Yeah,
see,
we're off
this
to a good start here. This is
why,
great.
yeah, I can't get anything serious done. Yeah, so trauma, no, not really.
Does anything stand out as like when you like if I'm trying to think of the trajectory of my life from like my earlier memories to like into the troubled area and then out of like there's certain events that stand out that kind of pushed me in a certain direction. It sounds like moving was one of them for you.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, as far as it pertains to getting loaded, like, so you know how some people like raise their kids, like Tiger Woods was a golfer since age 4, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone in all my families was getting loaded like successfully. Pretty much my entire life until I got clean. And I remember my brother's first birthday party. We were in the backyard in Fremont, and we had the full band and like kegs, and like everyone's getting loaded and smoking weed and smoking cigarettes. And I'm sure there were other things involved, but those were the things I could see and smell.
And how old were you at that?
I was like 3 or 4.
Wow.
Yeah. But this was just like my whole life.
Continuous.
Yeah.
Example of
Everyone was always getting loaded. My mom doesn't like talking about this type of stuff. 'Cause she kind of denies it, but this was like the reality of the situation. Everyone was like, I always thought growing up, like the person who was like using the most was like the best person, you know, like the fastest marathon runner. The person getting the most loaded is like the best, you know, like they're at the podium at the end of the night, getting first place.
That's interesting. So you don't look back and feel that you experienced any type of trauma, like, you know, like something that really would shook your world, but you had like a systemic environment that was people getting loaded.
Yeah, and
So that was normal for you.
Yeah, couple that with not feeling a part of.
Yeah.
And the first time I ever got loaded was like, oh my God, this was the thing that was wrong, you know?
Yeah.
I just needed to get loaded like, you know, I had been seeing everyone else do. And that's how they were able to talk to the opposite sex. And that's how they were able to talk to the
Because they were
kids
loaded.
that were popular. Yeah, because they were probably getting loaded.
When you got loaded, you felt like you could do those things and associated that with getting loaded.
Yeah. It was like, oh, here we go.
So was there anything that like caused the transition into getting loaded? Was it a slow process?
I mean,
Any specific events?
there
really?
there was a couple specific events. So my cousin, who so growing up, my dad had a sister, and so let me back up a little bit more.
That would be your aunt.
Yeah, my aunt. So my dad's side of the family is from Bolivia. Bolivia is a small, landlocked country in South America.
Have you been there?
Yes, I've been there.
Is it pretty?
Yes, it's very pretty. It's very stark. Like, I'll get to that, but they're from Bolivia. This was in the 50s and 60s, and my aunt got polio. And back then, it was basically 1 in 100 people died from polio, and 1 in 10 were disabled for the rest of their life. Well, my aunt got polio real bad. She was invited by someone was like in America, and they were like invited to Shriners
someone?
Hospital. I don't remember.
Like a doctor, you mean?
No, like a relative or
Oh,
something.
family member.
Yeah. Maybe they wrote a letter. I see. This is why I don't know the real history of
The
it all.
history's
but-
not clear to
She
you.
made it to the U.S. It sounds like.
Yeah, someone like wrote a letter to Shriners or asked someone like, "Hey, can you help this person?" And so they got invited to Shriners Hospital in San Francisco, and they moved here. And that's where, like,
That's your aunt's family. So
Yeah.
your brother, mom and dad. So your grandparents, everybody as a
everyone
unit.
moved up here.
Got it.
Yeah, my grandpa, my dad, my grandma, and my aunt. So they moved up here, and they treated her polio. She didn't die, but she's been in a wheelchair her whole life. Anyways, they grew up. They were like close to us in Redwood City. They moved to Nebraska, and this must have been when I was like 4, 4 or 5. They moved to Nebraska, and so I didn't get to see my cousins like at all really anymore because like no one was going to go to Nebraska.
Why did they choose Nebraska?
I really don't know that story either. It was like, oh, it's cheaper than California.
They may have liked corn.
This was in the 90s. Like, oh, this is cheaper than California. Like, it's getting real expensive here. They lived in Redwood City at the time.
Nothing against Nebraska. I'm sure it's lovely, but it's just a weird place to end up.
Yeah, I don't know.
From California.
I think that about so many different places. Typically when I go to places like that, I will ask somebody at random, like, what's the industry here? Like, what is it? What's the draw?
What's attractive? Yeah.
Most of the time, it seems like it's, excuse me, most of the time it's generational.
Oh.
That's what I found is like, I inherited this land, or like, somebody was here before me, or.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, anyways, so we'd been separated from. I'm trying to remember the point I was getting to. We'd been separated from my cousins, yeah. And my cousin came to visit. She was 13. She came to California to visit, and to her, California was like awesome. Like we have beaches and mountains and stuff. And she came to visit in the Bay Area, and she was 13 and I was 11. And she was like smoking cigarettes now, and I'm like, oh. This is, like I thought she was pretty cool because she was like an older girl,
Yeah.
And I was kind of like trying to get into like talking to older girls at the time. But I didn't have any of the skills, I always felt like that wasn't for me.
You're 11 with no game.
No game and no drugs yet. I couldn't, there was nothing that was helping me out.
You.
Yeah. And so she came, she was smoking cigarettes, and she was like having sex, and actually, one of my older friends had sex with her. I don't remember what grade we were in, like 6th or 7th grade, maybe. And anyways, I was like, whoa, like I was there was a lot of emotions and feelings and stuff, but I was like, whoa, this is like kind of cool, And she gave me my first cigarette, and more interesting backstory. My dad's mom, my grandma, was the one who was like buying her cigarettes,
You're kidding.
No, this is, so anyways, yeah, she gave me my first cigarette, and I didn't smoke it right. And then like I did another one and I smoked it right.
When you say you didn't smoke it right, you weren't inhaling, you're just pulling smoke into your mouth?
Yeah, because I only figured that out because the next one I did, worked, and I was like, oh shit. And I remember it was the first time I because I had changed the way I felt before. The first time was at the dentist's office when I was like 7 or 8, and they had to give me laughing gas. And I was like hysterically laughing, and the dentist was yelling at me, and my mom was getting mad at the dentist because the dentist was like, shut up, like stop moving around, and I could not get the procedure done because I was having such a good time.
Laughing gas.
Yeah, and I was just like this loaded 7-year-old, but I didn't understand back then. I thought this was just like a medical thing, I didn't know that you could
got
like
stuck.
Yeah, I didn't know that
Stop
I could
giggling.
like make the same thing happen. So when I took that pull off the cigarette and it worked, I remember it. I like felt this feeling come over my whole body, like, oh my God, this is amazing. I got on my bicycle and I rode around the neighborhood, like telling my close friends, because that's what we used to do. Knock on the door. Hey, is Rick home? Is Andy home?
Yeah.
Is Troy home? And
Before cell phones?
I was knocking on the door, and I would like tell them, yeah, I smoked a cigarette. It was great, I don't know what exactly I said to all of them, but I was very excited about it.
Everybody should try this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so the first time I was like hanging at one of my other friends' houses, and he invited these 2 girls. They were girls. I didn't like either any of them, but they were girls. So it was like, oh, cool. Like all,
Yeah.
show off. I don't know what was going on in the mind of a child, ego and whatever. And they had like a little highlighter, and they put it was like a highlighter that was like, you know, a gutted highlighter and with a little screen, like a metal screen at the end, and they were like smoking a little weed, you know. And I was like, oh, I'll try that, you know, like I'll look cool in front of them, and maybe they'll tell their friends that I did like, and so I did that, and it was the same thing, like it changed the way I felt, and I was like, oh wow, this is amazing.
Did you get high the first time you smoked weed?
I did, but I didn't. It was like kind of like the cigarette. It was like the next time I did it, I really did it right.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I remember, the second time I smoked weed, it was like I was dying laughing, like the laughing gas thing all night. I ate till my guts hurt. Like, I don't know what it was, like candy or so. It must have been around Halloween time, because I do remember eating like a ton of candy. Like,
So you actually remember feeling the munchies?
yeah, and like laughing all night with my friends and just stupid. Like, I used to think they were the funniest guys on the planet, but it was just, you know,
You were just
looking
high.
back at it. Yeah, it was like the first couple times you smoked weed, like they weren't that funny. It was just everything was funny. But yeah, and then obviously like it progressed, and once I knew I could once I did those drugs, it was like, oh, okay, now
So
let's
smoking weed was roughly around what age?
probably 11 or 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you'd been drinking too?
No, I started drinking after the weed
Really?
smoking. Yeah. It's
How-
California, man.
Yeah, that's true.
How fast did you progress? Like cigarette, weed, what was next? So on.
It
and
was
so forth.
alcohol. Yeah, because my friend, he was like, oh, let's go up on the roof of this middle school, and he had like a bottle. It was the dumbest idea ever. We didn't have good ideas, but we thought we did, you know.
Yeah, I've
And
had a
he
bunch of
had
those.
vanilla Smirnoff. It was like brand new vanilla Smirnoff. And I do remember this back in the day, vanilla Coke.
Yeah.
It was fucking horrible. And he's like, let's chase this vanilla Smirnoff with this vanilla Coke. And to this day, I can't like have anything vanilla like that because of that one
You
day.
got sick?
Yeah, I was just horribly like trying to choke it all down. Like it was worse almost having the vanilla chaser chasing down the vanilla
Yeah.
Smirnoff.
Oh.
But yeah, I remember that.
Dude, I've done that on roofs myself. Shopping center roofs. Yeah.
And I have, like, growing up, like, I have pictures of my dad giving me beer and my uncle giving me beer. Like, there's documentation of all this stuff, you know? But I never got drunk like that. And when I
Yeah.
started drinking, when it was hard alcohol, I was like, oh, shit. This is, like, immediately
So you got
changing
you
the way I
got
felt.
sick the first time?
I got sick, but I loved it. I mean, I didn't throw up or anything. It was just like yeah. And then
Not so enjoyable.
yeah. And then it progressed to like psychedelics. And when I was in ninth grade, the first time I ever did mushrooms, I was like, oh, I'll get I don't know if this is like too, you know, I'm not like trying to romanticize this. This is just objectively what happened. I was like thinking like, oh, I'll get an eighth, you know, because everyone said take an eighth. And I got
An eighth of mushrooms?
yeah. And
So
I'm
you're a
like,
freshman and then you went to
I was 14. Yeah.
freshman and you
Yeah.
went to hard drugs.
That's a hard drug. I don't know. Maybe I
Shrooms?
guess it is. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Everybody's got a different perception. For me, like anything after weed.
Is like hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was hard, I guess.
If it's not a hard drug, it's closer than weed is. I'd say that.
I took him, and it was probably a couple weeks before Halloween, and like a week before my birthday. It actually might have been like my birthday week because I was born on October 23rd, so it's all right around Halloween. It's actually when all the shit in my life happens is around then because I don't know what it is. But anyways, I took him and I was like, I got real nauseous and real queasy. Maybe that's why I don't like eating mushrooms today.
Did you eat them by yourself?
No, I had them with other kids. And
Everybody was eating them.
yeah, but I had the most. Like I had for
course you
whatever
did.
reason, I thought, I was
Yeah.
like, let me do, you know.
The most.
And so I got queasy and nauseous, and then the TV started to slide off the
Wall.
well,
Oh
the-
God, dude,
whatever.
mushrooms are fucking trippy, dude.
And I had a bad trip though. I had a bad trip all night.
slipped off the
I didn't
wall with the TV?
I didn't like any of it. Yeah, and I was like, I'm never gonna do that again. So naturally, 2 weeks later, I was like, well, I just probably didn't do it right the first time. I'm going to do a quarter this time. And I remember doubling my dose. And the story was like, my friend Charles was like, oh, I'm going to dip mine in peanut butter. And I was like, oh, I'm going to dip mine in barbecue sauce. And then we like looked at each other. And like, he was like, that's a hella good idea. I'm going to dip mine in barbecue sauce. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to dip mine in peanut butter. And we like switched, you know? And so the same thing happened. I got real queasy. I'm 14. My mind is like developing at this point.
Yeah,
you know?
obviously.
And I took them.
It's really developing when you eat the mushrooms, dude.
No, it did. Yeah. It probably changed my psychology for the rest of my life. But yeah, I took them and I got real queasy and I was having a bad trip again. And then I got caught. Like I don't even know what it was, but I got caught in like a space-time graph.
Oh yeah, those.
Yeah, no, yeah. This is really what was like going on. And then I like woke up and everyone was like trying to mess with me because this was Halloween now.
Yeah.
This was Halloween, 14 years old Halloween.
Those pesky space time.
Can you describe what that looked like?
I was just in like the unmanifest things that had never happened. Like just caught in, space time, like in like a like a purgatory type thing for like an hour.
Balls hard, huh?
And I remember finally like kind of coming to at this park bench and everyone's like around trick-or-treating and stuff. And they're like, all right, let's just walk around. And then I started to have fun because I think it just hit me so hard at first. And then I started to have fun for the rest of the night. And then I remember I have to tell my parents I'm loaded. And I don't know what the reasoning was.
Why did you feel that you needed to tell them?
I don't know, because I was loaded probably. And it was telling me this stuff. And I walked into my house, back into my house. Like finally I was like, okay, maybe that's not a good idea. By the end of the night, we're like 8 hours into the trip now. I'm supposed to mow my uncle's lawn in the morning. That's another funny part of this story. So I walk into my house and my dad's head is like 4 feet big. And I was like, oh my God, I'm tripping, dude. I'm like trying not to like look at him. And then he pulls off this mask. Someone had dressed up as him at his work, like, cause he was like the boss on his floor. And they've had like a giant cutout, like this like 3-foot cutout of his face that they had printed out that they were wearing around the office.
Wait, is this the trip or is this real?
No, this is part of the trip and it's real. Yeah. So
somebody actually did that?
Yeah, somebody actually did that. And so I'm like, I'm freaking out,
Dad just pulled his face off.
Everything about that day was like, a horrible thing. And then I had to wake up. I couldn't sleep all night, and I'm supposed to mow my uncle's lawn. He lived in Livermore in like a real nice house with like 3 different. The lawns had like 3 different stories, and the lawnmower I was supposed to use was a plug-in one, and I mowed his lawn so shitty. Like,
were you still tripping?
Yeah, I didn't sleep, and I was still high. And my dad dropped me off.
What time do you think you ate the mushrooms at?
It's a long ass.
After school, right after school.
So
yeah, so it was like 4 or 5 o'clock probably.
So 12 hours. You were 12.
Yeah,
you were still tripping.
It was like a Friday. Yeah. Friday, Halloween, and I ate them. Yeah, and then Saturday morning I had to wake up at 6 a.m. But I didn't sleep. It was the worst lawn mowing. Like not only did I never get a job from him ever again. Trying to figure out
a plug and lawn mowing.
He was like, oh yeah, I'm not messing with this kid at all. You like never mess with me again after that.
Dude,
that was funny. That was fucking great.
Yeah. I had a job at a rental company when I was like 17, 18, and I was on like 6 hits of LSD, and I'm supposed to be sweeping out the back of one of these container trucks, the rentals. I was in there for 4 hours. Nobody could find me. Sweeping making sounds inside the container. It was bad, dude. So I can relate to that. That's a bad trip.
Yeah.
Fun though.
Yep. So yeah, then it progressed off like into other like more street stuff. It was the Bay Area in the early 2000s, so
Yeah,
we
it's
were really
cocaine.
into Mac Dre. Yep.
Yeah.
We were like my friends hung out with
How old are you, Nick? I forgot.
38.
38?
Yep.
We're the same age. I'll be 38 in December.
Oh, nice. I'm a
Same
little
same
older than
era,
you.
dude.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it was Mac Dre in the Bay Area, so that was
Yeah.
like everything, and this was like right before he passed away.
So you're
And
talking like right around 2000,
2000
2002,
to
2003.
2005, basically. It was like, yeah.
The year you graduated,
Fizz
probably.
and ecstasy, yeah. And so it was that stuff, and then it was like uppers, coke, and stuff like that. And
Did you ever get heavy into crank? Or
crank
speed?
was later on for me. I had a girlfriend at the time, and I was like, doing my normal stuff, drinking and smoking weed and smoking cigarettes.
Ecstasy, coke.
Yeah, recreationally, occasionally. And then one night, she was like, "Oh, can you not drink tonight? You have to drive me home." And I was selling OxyContin, and I didn't. Oh, you might have to take this out. You can edit it, right?
Yeah, I can edit anything.
Maybe tell the story for the sake of just
Yeah,
the
yeah,
story
yeah,
process. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was selling pills, and I didn't know I didn't know anything about them other than they were like highly coveted, and I was getting them for like really cheap because I was getting them from my dad's friend that graduated from college. Meanwhile, I'm a child. I'm a minor.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of this was like bad. I just
So you were still in high school.
yeah, I was still in high school.
Okay.
About to graduate, and I'm like selling pills, and I hadn't done them, because I heard like don't do them, like just sell them and make money, and I was like making money, like it was like real money, and it was like I never had like money I could just spend and buy clothes, and I was buying nice clothes and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, so she's like, "Can you not drink tonight?" And I was like, "Okay, well maybe I'll just like crush up one of these pills, And I started doing the pills. And I have like, I'm telling you, like for the whole time not the whole time I was getting loaded, but pretty much until I got clean, like I had probably one of the best connections you could have as like a teenager, other than like having a doctor prescribing themselves. It was like, I was getting them for dirt cheap and selling them for like 2.5, 3 times the price, And so when I did the first one, I was like, oh shit, this is what I've really been missing out on. Like all the times I like thought I had found the right one. you
Yeah.
know? It's like, this is the one. So I pretty much stayed loaded on opiates and opioids until I got clean. And then recreationally, I was like, oh, it's the weekend. Let me do Xanax and smoke meth. And I hated meth. I always hated it. I hate the taste. I hate the smell. It was like thinking about it makes me
But you
gag.
do it
Like,
anyways.
yeah, I would get it down. I would choke it down.
That's a good addict.
Yeah. But I was just thinking about it.
Looking back, it sounds like that early on, like the cigarette to pot, that was like the start of you realizing that this stuff can change the way you feel.
Yeah.
And so you pretty early on, you recognized that you wanted to keep doing this.
Yeah. It was like I was trying to be the fastest marathon runner. I was trying to get the most loaded. I just
so
didn't know
crazy.
that it led to jails, institutions, and death at the time.
I had the same belief system, man. Like I had this story in my head that like whoever can go the deepest is winning.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was like my theory of like how like I existed inside that theory of like who can get the farthest out there as far as like how much they're using, how deep into getting loaded they can go. Like I had to convince myself that
So it was like a competition for you?
even with myself too, like how
You
close
have to one up your last one?
I not necessarily one up my last one, but it's just like, what else can I discover about whatever this is that I'm doing or whatever's happening that I don't know. some kind of connection with whatever that source is, you know, and for me
Weird.
anyway. And I think it was more like how loaded can I get without dying?
That's pretty drastic.
That's
Yeah, I've heard as long as my heart and my lungs are functioning, I'm good.
yeah, and that's pretty much what I like shot for that. I was like trying to stay like as close to that, not trying to kill myself.
And not trying to get my dope stolen when I fucking got like that, because that was the other problem I kept having. It was like, oh, I'm like nodded out,
when you
passed
started doing
out,
the
blacked
oxys,
out. Yeah. And now like I wake up and the
Or the
little
Xanax.
canister I have in my pocket's gone. Yeah, I lost everything.
Cranking Xanax is fucking crazy, dude. I would wake up in the most like I'd like, how the fuck did I get here, dude? I don't know anybody here. I woke up in a backyard. Like I woke up in the back seat of my car in a backyard, and I have no idea where I am. I still got everything in my pockets, but I get out of my car and both of my front tires are exploded, like I ran over spike strips, and I'm like, I have no idea where I am, and I walk inside and there's like 10 people sitting on a couch and they're like nodding out or passing around a pipe. I'm like, and I don't know any of them. I'm like, where the fuck am I? I'm like, just
Fun
crazy
times.
shit, yeah. And I still don't know what the fuck happened.
Yeah. So I was always like getting stuff jacked for me because I was like passing out at this time. And yeah, that's what it got to a point of like, all right, I'm like not really in control of anything anymore, you know? And that was around the time I started getting like put into rehabs. My first rehab I went
So this is the start of your consequences?
Yeah, 16. My first kind of like my dad took me to this place in Oakland, and it was a place for youth. And I went in there, and the door buzzed shut and locked, and I was like, "Uh-oh, like I'm not getting
So it was
out
a
of this."
lockdown facility.
Yeah. And
Where was it?
in Oakland, and they did this interview with me like alone. And I was like just lying about everything, you know, like, of course, like I'm not going to tell them I'm getting loaded. Like, oh yeah, you know, like they caught me with some stuff. I, you know, just I tried to do it on weekends and stuff. And they came to my dad and they're like, oh, you know, maybe he could do an outpatient, but we got kids in here smoking crack. I remember the lady saying that to my dad, and I was like fucking right on score, you know, like
You manipulated the
yeah,
system?
I manipulated those. I could manipulate the people who were trying to help me too, you know.
Looking back, did it seem like they really didn't know you were lying?
I don't think I was a good liar, I think. Like I think I was pretty good at it. I know people say like, oh, we know, you know, we all knew you were lying and stuff, but
What age were you at this time?
I told you I was raised up like to be like the
Well, you
best
were around addicts the whole time.
Yeah. 16. Yeah, so it was, yeah, honesty, I was not like, there was no reason to be on it. Like I never, like no one taught me like spiritual principle of honesty. I didn't understand like why you wouldn't just get what you wanted to get, you know? So I was manipulating. And so that was the first consequence. Then my dad took me to San Diego to my grandpa's house. He was living in a storage unit. This is he's like a brilliant guy. Like
A brilliant guy living in a storage unit?
Graduated from Stanford.
Like an actual
PhD.
storage unit?
Yep.
In a s-
Yep, he's the one who came to America. He convinced them to let him into Stanford. He showed this professor where his thesis was wrong in anthropology, and he was like, I want to help you fix this, but I need to be let in. And that's the story of how, yeah, so I'm raised by brilliant manipulators, you know, because that's my grandpa manipulated his way into, anyway, so he's living in a storage unit.
It just sounds weird.
It was weird. He was
it
showering at the college, and like the bathroom down the hall was like you could go take a shit there, and that was it. But it had electricity and stuff, so he had his like little recording studio in there, and he had his bed, and everything was very like.
When you
nimble.
say he had his recording studio in there, what do you mean recording? Like he
Must
recorded
have been
music?
a big storage
Yeah.
unit.
Yeah, it was like it was a huge like big old room, like the third floor, like
Wow.
just a normal like room. I'm sure there was other people living there. Like he didn't get this idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they had electricity, and everything was like stored away. Like he'd pull out his bed at night from like under the sofa. Anyways, my dad was like trying to give me consequences, because he had like found this drawing. I'm such an idiot at the time. I'm like a little child, like
We're all idiots
Yeah.
at that time.
and it's like a picture of like all my friends, like I'm drawing like all my friends drawn, and they're all like doing different drugs, and I'm like Charlie, like I like labeled who they were.
No.
Like, yeah, just a dumb idiot. Like I was just so dumb. And he found this and he took me down there and he's like, we're gonna get you, you're gonna stop doing these drugs and blah blah blah. So he buys me a pack of cigarettes. That's where all this got to. It's so
16?
funny. Yeah, all my family was buying me cigarettes at this point, and my friends' parents were buying us cigarettes, and like we could just always get cigarettes. Like we would steal them behind longs. And he buys me a pack of cigarettes, and he's going to show me consequences. Takes me down to my grandpa's house. This is after the Oakland place because I didn't need the inpatient, and I go down there and he's like going to show me what it's like really like, and we need to get back. I don't know what his plan was. He didn't know, he didn't know about 12-step programs or anything either at this point. He had not been introduced.
Was he still getting loaded?
Yeah, he was drinking and smoking. He was there. He was like
But he's
successful at his
functional.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad's on a whole other trip, but so we go down there, and my friend Jason had just moved down there, like from high school, and I was like, "Oh, Dad, can I go visit Jason's house?" And I remember being extremely ill, like I had the flu or something, like during this whole time.
Yeah.
And I went to Jason's house, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna just gonna hang out for a little bit." I ended up like staying the night at his house, and I'm supposed to be like getting consequences, and we're like drinking all night, and I was throwing up like bright green, just whatever in the morning, off of his dad's balcony. And so like every time
Hella
like
sick.
people tried to get me help, like I would always like I didn't want it, I was always fucking things off. My dad offered me, he was like, he had a Mercedes at this point now, and he was like, if you could stay clean for a year, I will give you this Mercedes. And I was like, shit, I could do that. I couldn't stay clean for one day. Dude, I'm serious. I wanted the car so bad. I didn't have a car, and I wanted this Mercedes, and I was like, I couldn't stay clean for one day. I didn't know how to do it. And so anyways, yeah, the progression.
That's pretty heavy, though, if you looking back on that. Like, at 17 at
Yeah,
this point?
was, well, yeah, it's all kind of
16,
blurred.
17?
16, 17, 18. I think at 18, that's when he was like, if you could just stay clean for a year, I'll give you this Mercedes.
So you're 18. Everybody's trying to get you clean. You're not doing it. What's kind of the transition to?
Like, you get kicked out of the house, or?
Yeah, I got, so 19, I get introduced to another rehab. So they send me up to grandma's house in
Placerville.
Folsom. And my grandma and my grandpa's like visiting her. They're divorced. They've been divorced since like the 60s at this point now. But he's like, they're longtime friends. They always stayed friends. And it was like great for us to see that because they were always very nice to each other. It was like having grandma and grandpa around, just a weird dynamic.
Yeah.
But they take me, my parents were gone. I was on Suboxone by this time. I was always on Suboxone or getting loaded on real stuff, So like, because I'm trying to not feel sick anymore.
When you're taking Suboxone,
Yeah.
are you taking it to wean off of drugs? Or
No,
are you
I was taking it to
get
not
high?
feel sick.
Yeah, in
I was
case
taking it to not
if
feel
you didn't
sick.
have drugs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't trying to.
You weren't trying to
I was
get clean.
trying to. I don't know what that even meant at that point. Like I wasn't trying to get clean.
Yeah.
So they took me to another rehab, and they like put me in there. It was an outpatient thing, and I like went for a week, and they were like doing, I don't know what it was, and they were like, yeah, you got to go to meetings and stuff, and I didn't know what they were talking about. And again, I didn't really. I felt like I had it, like I'll just wean off the Suboxone and I'll start drinking. And I told them, like I told my grandparents and my dad, I was like, yeah, like I don't think I really need to be there. I think I got it. And they didn't know anything about 12-step stuff either. And I was like, and the people seem like they're getting loaded in the parking lot. And like these were all lies, by the way. I'm like, they seem like they're all getting loaded. And, you know, I think I got this, and I'll just like wean off the Suboxone.
Yeah.
You know, and my dad came up and he was like so happy that I had said that. He came and celebrated with me, smoked weed with me for the first time and had a beer, you know? Because that was
Dude,
it. It was
that's-
always the other. It was all like, even to them, like our whole family, it was like, oh, just get off the whatever,
The hard stuff.
Yeah, the hard stuff, and like just smoke weed normally and drink normally like a normal person.
Yeah, isn't that weird looking back now, knowing what you know, that like parents or whoever, people of authority, had that perception like weed is not addictive, and you know you can actually manage your life just by smoking weed and drinking. Mm-hmm. That's crazy, knowing what we know now.
Yeah. Yeah, even in chapter 1 of the basic text, it says alcohol and marijuana. And that part was written in the 80s before it was legal. And I was like, the foresight that these addicts had to like know how people thought, because
Right.
now it's legal, you know?
Yeah.
And so they didn't even know that it was legal back then. They just had the foresight to like put that in there. And so like now it's like even more relevant. But yeah, it is crazy because I can't do anything. So that was the second rehab. Then the third rehab I ended up at, because then I was like really doing like IV, like I was an IV drug user by the time I was 20. Yeah, I was an IV user by the time I was 20. Things were real bad. When was the first time? And what were you doing and where were you at? Shooting? I don't know the first time, because I think I was like I was just always like loaded. I know the many times
It was like a blur then?
Yeah, because I was like just using it however I could. It was the same drug. I was just using it differently, you know. I do remember that, you know, the person who introduced me to it, he was my weed dealer, like growing up, and his disease progressed to the point he's dead now, poor guy, from the disease. All of my friends are dead from that era, or severely mentally disabled.
Anybody get locked up?
No, they're dead or mentally disabled.
Wow.
Isn't it trippy, the human body's resilience, and then also like who makes it through and who doesn't? I was talking to somebody the other day about, like, I wasn't suicidal, but like I was describing earlier, like I was trying to get as close to death as I could, and everybody around me is dying, and I probably died a couple times, and I just am not gone yet, you know? And there's so many people that go, like it's so fragile, but some of us are also so fucking resilient that and who knows what makes that? Like, is it a higher power? Like, you're not done yet. You aren't ready to leave yet. Is it genetics? It's just crazy. Like, to think like I was doing all the things that everybody was doing, and that you're talking about, like all your friends are dead or mentally ill. Like, what makes you that was doing the same shit still? And I'm not saying like we have an answer for this, but it's just kind of trippy to think about, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. There's like a level of randomness to everything. Even with my higher power, there's like things are random.
In like science too, people's bodies we're all different.
Yeah. It's just a trip. It's a trip to think about, like, so many people are gone.
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck am I still here, you know?
Yep. What was I talking about before?
You're-
Side shot.
Oh yeah. So this guy, he was like, he was doing it, and I was like, oh, this is, you know, like, I could preserve more if I did it this way. Like, my stash would last longer if I did it like this. There would be no waste at all, you know. And I could do half and feel the same way. And that's what he was like trying to convince me of. And then the other thing he convinced me of was, he's like, oh yeah, these are all used, but I'll just boil them. I'll just boil the needles.
Oh God.
And I was like, oh, okay. And like, I'm a dumb kid, you know, and I just did it with the boiled needles. Like, thought like, oh, you know, this is all good.
It probably killed everything.
I mean,
does that work?
Yeah.
It's likely that it did because that third rehab that I got to when I was, had become an IV drug user. That was actually going into that rehab was the most I was ever on. My third rehab was the most I was ever on. I was doing the most, and I hadn't like received the full amount of consequences yet, but it was the hardest kick I had ever had because I was like on an extremely high amount of stuff. That remember I was telling you guys like, oh, I had the best connection. Well, I did, and I was doing 10 a day, 10 of the good ones that I was talking about a day. Like it's a dose that would kill a normal, like any normal person. Like if they tried
Talking about 1080s?
1080s a day. Yep, going into the rehab.
You were shooting them?
I was shooting them and taking them through the nose and
Snorting them, smoking
Yeah.
them, eating them, whatever.
I didn't like smoking them. Felt
That
like
was
a
the
waste.
most
to
fun,
me.
dude.
I felt like it was a waste. I was trying to preserve, but yeah, that was the hardest kick I ever had, and so I went to that rehab, and it was a lockdown.
During this whole time, were you ever working? Or was this
Here
just
and
like
there.
so it was like a continuous.
No,
high?
no, I did get a job where my girlfriend got me the job. It was at a pizza place, and I was a pizza delivery. It was an Italian place. I like to class it up a little bit. That delivered pizzas, and I was a pizza delivery boy, and which was the perfect job for me because I would leave and smoke cigarettes and smoke weed and sniff 80s in the car on the way, and I would like get these huge tips. Like people were like giving huge. I would drive like super far into like the mountains, and like I'd be driving forever, and I'd find it, and they'd give me like a huge tip, and I was like, oh, this is sweet. And, like I could. It was funding more stuff now,
Yeah.
but it was funding, like I wasn't paying rent because I was living at my parents'
Yeah, I was
house.
just curious if you were just continuously partying or you actually did a job.
Yeah, no, I had that job and I was standing up folding silverware into the napkins. You know how you wrap silverware
Yeah.
and fold them into the napkins? And I was knotted out. And the owner of the fucking restaurant came up to me and he's like, hey, are you like tired or something? And I was like, oh yeah, man. I like didn't, haven't been getting enough sleep, but standing up and knotted out, like
I can
working.
picture you like standing there with some silverware and a napkin in your hand and you're out.
Just taking a nap.
Got the,
Yeah.
Yep. We got the
Chin
lean.
tucked.
I hired a buddy years ago. I hired a buddy to paint my bathroom, Jen and I's bathroom, and he was like in and out of the program. We were trying to be nice and give him a shot. And I walk in there. He's halfway through painting the bathroom, and he's got the roller in his hand, and he's knotted out. The roller's leaning against the wall, and he's
That
knotted
one
out.
spot
So
got-
it sounds like the exact same thing you were doing.
You say missed the spot.
Didn't you have a job? Didn't you have a job at like a Keno place or a fucking
No, that wasn't me.
bingo or something?
No,
No.
not me.
No,
Who is that? Am I tripping?
yeah, that was Dom.
Oh, it is Dominic. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Anyways,
Sorry.
you were at that third rehab.
Yeah, the third rehab, and that was my first inpatient rehab. Like I went there, and they were like,
Was it locked down?
we're done." Yeah, it was locked down, and
And you're an adult by now, right?
yeah, I was 20 at
Yeah.
this time. Yep, it was. That was my first clean date, April 9th, 2008. April 9th or April 12th? April 9th, I think. Yeah, 2008, and I went into this place and. Like luckily they did blood tests. Like that was like the first thing they do. They like check
Wow.
to see if you have like
Drugs.
hepatitis or like
Oh, that.
HIV or anything, No, they were trying drugs, but also like they wanted to check like are you, did you give yourself a disease like using intravenous?
Are you gonna die?
Yeah. And my blood work came back and they're like thank God your blood work is all clear.
You're clean, huh?
Yeah. So thanks God to Joey's Boiled Needles.
Yeah.
That sounds like a restaurant.
dude.
Joey's Boiled Needles.
Yeah. Did he contract something?
I'm pretty sure he contracted something, but he died. He died of this disease.
Yeah.
He was a very sick individual.
Brutal.
Poor guy. Because I don't think he was like bad. I think he was just sick.
Yeah.
Real sick.
Did you ever have consequences, jail time?
Nope. Never incarcerated. I would always get pulled over by the cops,
Yeah.
and it was like the experiences were, I'm telling you, like I
Unreal?
was like master manipulator. I don't know how I got away with the stuff. There was a time when I had like an amount of pills on me that was like it would like be a trafficking charge or something, you know. And I'm an adult. I'm a minor, you know.
Oh,
And I'm like at my friend's house, and he was getting arrested. They had a warrant for his arrest, and I was at his house. His parents were gone, and we were like searching his house up and down for his stuff because I was trying to help him find his pills. And I remember like I was such a piece of shit. I like had this whole thing that he didn't even know about, you know, and I'm searching his house for more pills, and I would like find him because he was like oblivious, and I would like put him in my thing. And I'd be like, oh man, let's keep looking, you know. He didn't get high or anything that day. And then the cops came to the house, and I was like, oh shit, the cops are here. And they're like so and so, come out, you're going to jail. And he's like, oh man, I can't go back to jail. And he's like having this conversation through the door with the cops. It was like Trailer Park Boys type situation.
that is crazy.
Oh, I can't go back to jail. I don't want to go back. And they're like, Matt, come on out. You're going to jail again. And I'm like, Matt, dude, just go. And I was like, it's not going to end well. You know, just go.
I got all the pills, so just go.
Yeah. And my car was parked down the street, and my car was like, it did not look like if a cop saw it, it would have pulled it over. Like the middle was ripped up from me, like ripping it all up, looking for like a half of a pill. It like there was like a donut on it, you know, just like things were all messed up about it.
So it was a tweaker's car.
Yeah, it was for sure. There was like all sorts of shit all piled up in the back, and it was a mess, and you know, cigarette ash, and yeah. And so that was down the street, and it was pretty like tucked away and good because this was like kind of in the hills. And the cops would like take Matt, and they're like, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, well, can you give me a ride up the street? And so I'm here sitting here with enough drugs on me to go to jail for a long time. And the cop gives me a ride like 8 miles down the street. And he's like, all right, this is the end of my jurisdiction. I can't drive you any further. And I was like, all right, thanks. And I got out and walked away. And so I had things like that happen. I would get pulled over with the same thing, like a whole dashboard like filled with stuff because I used to like hide it in the dashboard. And I got pulled over. My license was expired, no registration on the car, no insurance. And the cop pulled me over. And this was like a time that I probably would have went to jail. Like if I didn't do this, I was going through, I don't remember what I was doing, but I was like on 580 going through Oakland somewhere and got pulled over by CHP. And as soon as he pulls up, I just start crying. I was like, this is the only thing that's going to get me out of this. I start crying. I'm like, I'm on my way to visit my grandma. She's really sick right now. And he's like, okay, I'm sorry. I have to write you a ticket for this registration. Your registration is suspended.
So
you're
you're fucking crying.
Yeah, I was crying. And my license is expired and stuff too. And he's like, all right, I'm just going to write you these tickets. So I started like getting tickets and stuff like this. Like, and so when I eventually got clean, like that was like the majority of my consequences. Like I owed a bunch of fines, like speeding ticket, all sorts of tickets. I had like just tons of tickets and a license that I couldn't get back because of all the driving little infractions, you know?
Yeah, all right. Well, I was just curious about.
Yeah.
No jail time though.
Nope, no jail time. I've never been incarcerated.
So
I thought that I needed to be incarcerated too. So after the third rehab, that's when I actually got introduced to 12-step programs, and they introduced me to AA, and they were like, just go to AA. And so I got like the person who came in and chaired the first AA meeting was this guy named Donnie, and he was 24 years old, and he had 4 years clean.
Wow.
Or sober, but he had 4 years sober in AA. And
where are you at physically? Like what?
Concord.
Okay.
Yeah. And
you were living in Concord now, or that's
no, this is where the rehab was.
Treatment was.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I was living in Dublin before this.
Nicer area.
Yeah, all of the Bay Area is real nice now. Well, except for maybe some parts of Oakland, but I still like,
Hayward's not that great.
yeah, well, I still think it's pretty nice
Yeah.
in comparison to how it used to
Relatively speaking?
be. Yeah, in the 90s,
Yeah.
it's a lot nicer now. Like there's some places in like Palo Alto that were very not nice back in the 90s that are like real nice now.
Yeah, that was my old running around.
So this guy, he came, chaired the meeting, and I was like, wow, like that was a great story. And he's like clean, you know, and I didn't like want to get clean. I was just trying to get not in trouble anymore and like not feel bad and not feel sick and have my parents off my ass and be in good graces with my girlfriend and be able to keep a job. And like, you know, I wanted things and stuff, but I didn't want to do any of the work for it. And so they introduced me to, like, I stayed in the rehab. I did the program. My girlfriend came and visited me like 20 days in, and I was like, fuck, I have to leave. Like, I was like so horny that I was like, I'm going to fuck one of these. There was a rehab girl in there that was like kind of my rehab girlfriend. And then my actual girlfriend came to visit me. And I was like, I gotta get out of here, you know, because I didn't understand the manifestation of my disease back then. Like, it manifested in other things too, you know, and sex was one of those things. You know, I gotta leave. And so I left, and they were like, everyone was like, this is the dumbest thing.
I thought it was a lockdown place.
It was, but also I'm 20. I can do whatever I want.
Oh, you
Yeah.
can check yourself out?
Yep. And I checked myself out. The counselors did not like it. My parents didn't like it. And I was like, I'm going to stay clean. I'm going to go to AA. And I did. I went to AA. As soon as I got out, I went to a meeting that first night. I saw that guy who was like 4 towns away, the guy that chaired the meeting.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, shit, he's here at this meeting, you know? It was like some continuity. And I heard a guy share, and he's like sharing how he has like 20-something years sober or something. And I was like, oh shit, he has like, remember my mentality of the person who has the most obviously is the best.
Yeah.
So I go up to the guy with the most time at the meeting. I ask him to sponsor me, and he's like, oh no, I'm not going to sponsor you, but like, go talk to this guy. And he takes me over to the guy who chaired the meeting, Donnie. Yeah. And he's like, this is my sponsee. He's taking on sponsees right now. So this guy became my first sponsor. And, talking about it right now, like this guy carried the message to me. Like he planted the seed. He got me starting to work the steps. Yep. I was unintentionally working the steps. Like I was just trying to do what everyone was telling me to do. But then along the way somewhere I was like, man, these people are like starting to like want me around and stuff. And I got kind of scared, you know, I'm like, I better like get out of here before they like really start to like want me around. Cause he's like working me through steps and shit. He's like had me do a 4-step. I left out all the stuff that was like, I wasn't going to tell anyone, you know, like, I'm not going to tell you that, but I'll tell you like the surface level stuff. So I left all that stuff out, moved on a little bit. And meanwhile, this is like in 60 days clean too. So I'm like I'm putting up air quotes right now, on a 10th step at 60 days clean. And meanwhile, I haven't fucking done a thorough 4-step. I haven't done a thorough 8th step even, let alone, you know, a thorough 9th step. And
I'm just curious, because I kind of had a similar experience. I didn't do any step work through AA, but I did go a lot of AA meetings, and they were there was a lot of talk about like we can work the 12 steps like within a month or so, like all 12 steps.
Yeah, well, when I got it,
they flew through the steps.
Yeah, that's how they say they did it in the very beginning too. It's like they used to do 4-week classes. There's a book that like studies it, and like the sponsor was like heavily like the person who would like help you work the steps. Like it was like there was way more ownership of the sponsor than the sponsee back then. Wow. They would like write down, okay, here's your defects of character, and like they'd be like almost like a therapist in it, you know.
Yeah.
The involvement was way different for them back then. But anyways, yeah. So I'm like blazing through the steps, and then my girlfriend at the time, just like having a party or something, and she's still getting loaded, and she's like happy that I'm not, you know. But I was like, you know what, 66 days clean. I was like, maybe I'll just try a beer, you know, because remember the beer and the weed were never
Yeah, they're not
problems.
addictive.
And I heard, you know, I remember at the rehab, oh, you can cross addict. You can cross addict. Ooh, you know, spooky cross addiction. And they like tried to scare it into me. And I had a beer, looked up at the sky. The whole world didn't fall down. And I was like, oh, see, I can control this. And I did. I had one that night. And I was like, wow. And then I got the idea. It was the best idea I had ever had at the time. I was like,
Of course.
wait a minute. Why don't people go to meetings Monday through Friday, work the steps and stuff, and then Saturday and Sunday use? I was like, no one has ever thought of this before. I'm going to try this. And so I went back to the
original.
I went back to the meeting on Monday. Didn't raise my hand that I was, you know, new. Went to all the meetings during the week, heard good recovery and shit. And that next weekend, I was like, all right, I'm going to have, you know, a couple beers this time, get more, you know, have more fun. And I remember like I did. I had a couple more beers. And this time I was like, oh, you know, I'll smoke a little weed. And this is what I didn't know was that your tolerance changes when you get clean. Because remember, my progression had been like getting loaded like half my life now at this point. And I hadn't had like a stint of like 60 days clean since like basically 11 or 12 years old. Yeah. And so I like took a hit of weed and I was like, oh shit, I got real paranoid. Like there was a hole in my throat and stuff. And
Fuck, he's back to tripping.
I was back to tripping. I was like, oh man, this isn't like fun anymore, you know? And I had a head full of recovery at this point because I was like, I kept going to meetings, you know? And so I did the same thing. The next week, I like went to.
Did you experience any guilt?
I was having guilt and shame. Yeah, it was like it was shameful because I was like, oh my, like I knew that I should be raising my hand at the meetings, and all these people like they just wanted the best for me. Like they were inviting me out to do things, and they just wanted like I really like genuinely felt that they wanted me to be clean, but I also felt that there was like
sober.
Yeah. I also felt that there was like, you weren't really in unless you were clean. So it was like a popularity, like a high school thing too, like with the young people. Cause I was in doing young people's AA. I was going to all the young people's meeting. Yeah. All the Jackie Paw, Cracky Paw. Yeah. All that stuff. Going to the business meetings. I'm like, you know, they're asking me to like do stuff. Yeah. And I'm getting loaded on the weekends. And then a weekend comes along and I'm like, well, shit, I'm like, I might as well do the stuff I like to do. And then I started doing the stuff I like to do again. And then it was like,
you're not going back.
I couldn't stop. And so, and what I also found during that time was like, I was like drinking like in the morning now. Like I thought that, you know.
Had to make up for time because you weren't drinking during the week.
No, I was saying like I could, you know, drink normally. But then I was like finding myself like, oh, I'm only going to drink, you know, and smoke weed. Now I'm drinking in the morning.
I'm drinking in the morning, but I find myself just drinking normally.
No, I'm saying I thought I could drink normally.
Are you saying it went from the weekends to the weekdays you're drinking in the mornings or?
Yeah, like every day. I was like, and then it got to a point where I was like, why don't I just do the stuff I like to do?
Yeah.
If I'm getting loaded, might as well. And then it was just it was the last progression. And this time, at the third rehab.
You're still early 20s. You got clean when you were 22?
Yep. At the third rehab, 21.
21?
At the third rehab, my mom called me and she wasn't slurring. And it was the first time I hadn't heard my mom slurring in like years, like 4 or 5 years. And I was like, Mom, you're not drunk right now. And she's like, nope. And she's like, I'm a big alcoholic. I'm a big drunk. I'm done. I'm quitting, you know? And she stopped drinking. She started going to AA.
Really?
Yep. And my dad at the third rehab, my aunt, who had been in another 12-step program, she's in OA. She's been in OA now for like
what is
30-something years. Overeaters Anonymous.
Oh, all right.
She'd also been dabbling in Al-Anon. And she told my dad, like, go to Al-Anon. So my dad starts going to Al-Anon at this third rehab. So now my mom and my dad are both like getting clean in recovery. You know, my dad took the back door because he's not an addict, but he stopped getting high and using, and he went to Al-Anon instead, which is a super funny story about denial. I still think it is, but however you can get your recovery is great.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I say this to him too. So if he ever hears this, I tell him that's how big of an addict you are. It's like you found a way a backdoor into
To
recovery.
manipulate the system.
Yeah, exactly. So they get clean, and I'm like, now this time, remember, I'm like struggling now, back again. I'm back loaded. And now they have like programs and shit, and they have sponsors, and they have like boundaries. And meanwhile, I was the one who like kind of introduced them to all this stuff. I was going to AA first. I was doing all this stuff first. And what happened was
That's
I
funny.
introduced them to it. And then now they have sponsors and boundaries and stuff. And so, yeah, they kicked me out, and they both kicked me out because they were separated at the time because of the disease, you know, like it separated all of us. My dad was living in an apartment. My mom was living at the house, and they both kicked me out from both places simultaneously. And they were like, yeah, you can't come back. And they had done this before multiple times. They'd kicked me out, and then I'd come back in like a week, you know. This was before they had recovery. They kicked me out, and I always thought I would be back. This is when I was 20. They kicked me out, and I'm 38, and I've never been back living in my parents' house. So they kicked me out for good that time. And that was like my last bottom. My last bottom, I was homeless. It wasn't for a long time. It was for like a half a year. But the first day I got kicked out, I went with my drug dealer. I had a little bit of money from my job. I still had a job. I was working at this deli. I got the job when I was in recovery, when I was clean. And I had some money, and I went to the casino, and I like won like $500, and I was like, this is going to be sweet. This is like, I'm
Did you go to the
homeless.
casino often? Were you like a gambler?
That's where I waited for my drugs.
Oh.
Yeah, Black Oak Casino up in Sonora.
Okay.
That's where we would always wait, or I would always have to wait. So I'd go in there, and I was gambling, and yeah, $500. I won $500, and I was like, this is going to be sweet. And it was sweet for like a couple weeks. And then I got jacked.
Really?
Yeah. It wasn't like a forceful jack. It was like, you know, one of my friends like set this whole thing up, lost all my money. And that's when I was like homeless with no money. And homeless with no money just means you have to work harder. But I feel like I always pretty much was loaded by the end of the day. And then it got to a point where my last run was I was going to meet my ex-girlfriend now because she was done. She was like going to college, and I was like a bum street
Living on the
addict.
street.
Yeah, you know, and despite all the, you know, promises that we made to each other. So I go down to her, try to like deliver her drugs. I'm with that kid remember the kid who had a warrant that went to jail?
Yeah.
He was out of jail again. I went down there with him and came back up, dropped him off, and I got my car back. We like went to recover my car to go do this.
Wow.
Like, yeah. So my car had been sitting at like basically sitting over at this house for like near his house for a long time. And we like went to do this. I panhandled $3 at a gas station to like get all the way up to Folsom because we were coming from Riverside.
Jeez.
Yeah, so I got $3, barely made it up to Folsom. It was rainy. It was February. I got off on, I don't know anything about Sacramento or anything. I get off on Watt Avenue. It's rainy. I'm loaded. The car is a beater. Like I also like the rain because you can kind of hide in the rain, you know, from the cops and stuff. So it's like raining and get off on Watt Avenue because I'm trying to like get like gas, that $3 gas to make it to Folsom. I run over a train track. I don't even know there was trains, and I don't even know how I did it, but I ran over a train track, got a flat tire, and so I'm like in the rain trying to like put a spare tire on my car in this like apartment complex that I had like pulled over to.
into.
Yeah. And I remember shit just like it was fucking sucked. Like it was horrible, you know?
Doesn't sound like a good day.
Yeah. And before that, I was like kind of living in this guy's attic in his garage. Like that was like my safe place when I wasn't like staying up for weeks, you know? I was like in this guy's like, it was like this morphine addict that was like friend of a friend in Fremont. My old drug dealer was living in the garage, like with like rugs and stuff down, and I was able to like slip up into the attic. It was like a 2-foot crawl space, and it was just like a place that was warm, you know. Anyways, so Watt Avenue, everything sucked. I finally made it to my grandma's house. She was the last person who would have anything to do with me. There was no one else who would have anything to do with me. And went to her doctor. I was like, I have to go to your doctor. You know, I'm like withdrawing super hard at this point. And the doctor looks at me and he's like, you are an addict and you need treatment and I'm not going to help you. And it's like, oh shit. Like I tried one last time. Like I didn't even like, it wasn't like, hey, I got clean February 23rd, 2009. It was like, nah, I tried to get loaded again. And so I was like, Grandma, I have to go to rehab. I'm throwing up in her backyard. The dog's eating my throw up.
Ew.
You guys know this story.
Nick.
All of my, these were all the memories I had, you know? So like the changing the tire in the rain, the dog eating the throw up, like just feeling like I failed.
This is the end of the end.
This is the end. I failed it my whole life. I was like, I'm never recovering from this. There's no going back. Like my life is always going to be shitty. And yeah, that's when.
So was that your last day using?
That was my last day using. Yeah, I tried to like smoke resin and stuff out of my uncle's pipes because my uncle was living with my grandma, and still he was like 40, but nothing worked, and what like we didn't have any money, and it was just didn't work out like that. And so I went to the rehab and. I got just a little, it was like my first, like I remember I had a sponsor before and I was like working the steps, and at that rehab, 7 days clean, I was like finally feeling a little bit better. And that rehab was different because they gave me a stool hardener and an anti-seizure pill and they were like, good luck. And so I felt it. The third rehab, they gave me like 13 different things to make me feel better in the morning. You know,
no
so
kidding.
I felt great. Yeah. This one, I was like, good luck, bro. And I remember detoxing, sitting in bed with my roommate, watching The Shawshank Redemption, staying up all night because we can't sleep because we're detoxing. And 7 days clean. I'm in a foreign town and up here in Sacramento now, in a place I've never been. I don't know any people.
Where was the rehab at?
Orangevale, yep. And didn't know any people, and I ate an apple. It was the first thing I ate in 7 days.
In 7 days?
Yep.
Like you didn't have any food?
No appetite. You have no appetite when you're coming off.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I was, drinking water and doing what they would like tell me to do, but you cannot eat. So I was like smoking cigarettes. That's all. That was the only nutrition I had.
Nutrition.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the door, and I was like, I'm gonna go get loaded. And it was clear. I tell you the story all the time in my chair. It was clear that my life was unmanageable. You can look at my physical appearance and be like, oh yeah, that guy's shit is fucked up. Like I was gray. Like I was the color gray. Like there was no life in me. Overweight somehow. I don't even know how I was overweight, but maybe it's because all I ate was bagels and make chickens and things from, it was like the dollar menu, like when I did eat. And it was clear my life was unmanageable, but it was at that moment that I realized I was powerless over my addiction.
Really?
I was like, wow, despite having lost literally everything in my life that you could have, acquired by 21, like I'm still going to go get high right now. And that's when it hit me like, oh, I really am powerless. And that was my first real surrender. I was like, all right, it was my first little bit of honesty with myself It was my first little bit of willingness to do something different, and it was my first little bit of open-mindedness to like, okay, maybe I'll go to listen at the group, you know. And I went to the group that day, and they were like, Nick, you never talk. Why don't you talk? And I started talking, and all I could do was cry. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't like get out anything coherent. I was crying, and so that was my first 90 days clean. I couldn't talk, and I would basically just cry anytime I opened up my mouth.
That's a pretty good piece of insight for you to realize that your life was unmanageable at that point.
Yeah,
That
and
did like
I didn't have anything traumatic happen in my childhood, but while I was getting loaded, the things that I saw and did were very traumatic. So that's what I was dealing with, especially at the end.
and you survived through it too.
I survived, yeah. And there's a lot of things that I won't say what happened on here just because it's not like super relevant, but you know, the shit that we go through. You see weird shit. You see weird shit out there. I was getting loaded all around the Bay Area. You see weird shit. I've seen a lot of weird things happen. I've done a lot of weird things, you know, things I'm not proud of. I harmed a lot of people. I'm not proud. I'm not proud of that stuff. But yeah, so that was it. And then I did the same thing I always do, which is this time they actually kicked me out of the rehab at 17 days. And I was like, I have to stay
Why'd
here.
they
I have
kick
no
you out?
place to go. I was on my parents' insurance still.
Oh.
And they were like, you've already been to rehab this year. Like, you've used up your rehab days. I didn't know there was like an allotted amount of rehab, you know.
So it wasn't of your own doing. It was insurance.
No, yeah. And so they were like, we have a place that'll work with you. Remember, my parents won't, like, they wrote me a contract. They said, don't come to our house. Don't call your little brother. If you do, we're going to call the cops. And every time I went to their house, they called the cops. They honored their contract
No
that they wrote
shit.
to me. Yep. And
Tough love at that age, right?
well, yeah. I remember they got sponsors and shit. So now they
Al-Anon.
had fucking a reason to keep me, you know, at bay. So the rehab was like, we're going to find a place that'll work with you, a transitional home. And I went to this transitional home, and it was horrible. It was like, I tell people now, like in hindsight, like my first year clean was part of my bottom, because now I'm feeling everything.
Interesting.
I'm feeling the consequences of everything that I had done my whole life. I have really no solution of how to deal with this stuff right away. And recovery is a slow process. It's not like something that, it's like the first thing in my life that was like not instant gratification. It was like delayed gratification.
Right. What was it about the transitional house that sucked?
So I went into the transitional house. I was in there in the 3-bedroom room. It was a very, very tiny room. This is in Citrus Heights. Bottom bunk, schizophrenic guy. I love this dude. If he's around, I don't think he is, but I love this guy. But he was schizophrenic, so it scared me. It was scary.
Yeah.
And then there was a Norteño guy, this guy who just institutionalized, always was trying to get in fights everywhere. And they were like he was like real mean to me. You know, I'm trying to get clean now at this point and do something. And he was like real like, hey, bitch, you know, like I was the bitch, you know. It is funny when I say it, but it's true, you know, like, and so
It would be scary.
he worked himself out, which, you know, we usually do. He got kicked out after a few weeks, but yeah, it was real hard, like going into that place. And I didn't have any money, you know, and I had canned foods and the stuff that they would donate from the Walmart down the street, which was like bread stuff that was like stale, old, you know, things that were like about to expire and things like that. And I had a cabinet, and so I would like try to like get all the stuff into my cabinet when they like get the donations, because like that was all I could eat, you know. No job, nothing. And slowly, like I was like, you know, trying to like get to meetings and stuff, and I was going to AA, and I found a sponsor, an AA sponsor, and he started taking me through the steps. And that that man, Dean, took me all the way through my first set of 12 steps at that rehab. In the meantime, though, I had other roommates, and this one roommate in particular, Rick L., which I hope he's still around. I haven't seen him in a lot of years, but he helped carry the message to me, or part of it, you know. He took me to my first NA meeting. And to me, it was different than AA. Like, I felt like the three little bears, like, oh, this porridge is too hot. This one's too cold. Like, this one is just right. And so he took me to NA, and it was a room full of couches, kind of like how we're sitting right here. And I don't remember anything that was said at the meeting. But I do remember afterward, every single person came up and gave me a hug. And I looked like shit. I smelled like shit. I didn't have any like hygiene stuff, you know.
Probably felt like shit.
I felt horrible, but every single person came up and gave me a hug. It didn't feel clicked up like I had felt in the young people stuff.
Yeah.
It felt like these people were like really like it was my first experience with unconditional love and loving action, you know. Like
Really?
these people came up to me, yeah, and like my parents had kicked me out. Everyone like didn't want anything to do with me. And these
I
people
can
were
relate
like,
to that feeling.
hey, here's a hug. And it was just like so small of a gesture. But I know from our literature, the Guiding Principles book talks about sometimes the atmosphere of a meeting does more to carry the message than the words themselves. And so
Did you recognize the transference of that compassion or unconditional love in that moment, or do you recognize it hindsight?
it was hindsight. I didn't know, like, you don't know why you like a song when you first hear it.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like after a while, you're like, oh, man.
Yeah.
You just like it, you know, like so.
Were you like hooked with NA that first meeting?
Yeah, so I wanted, like when they said keep coming back and all the other meetings, like I wanted to keep coming back. So I had to get a meeting slip signed at the transitional house. I had to do 4 meetings a week, and I was just doing it just to do it, you know. And
You actually wanted to go back to the NA meeting.
I wanted to go back. It was like, oh, these people are like becoming my friends. And so I did keep going back. I kept going with Rick to every NA meeting that he went to. And he was the one at the house who went to NA. And so I started going to NA. And
Start working steps pretty quickly? Did you get a sponsor?
well, I was working AA steps at this time. This is all like kind of simultaneously. So
Mm-hmm.
he's taking me to these meetings, and I'm shopping for an NA sponsor. I actually had a couple NA sponsors. It's funny because I'm only remembering the NA sponsor thing because I saw Daniel the other week, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot I had this whole there was this whole chapter of my NA where I had these couple other sponsors.
Yeah.
Because I'm like shopping around, you know, and like they had like started me working steps, and even Daniel like had me start working step. I had 2 sponsors at the time. I had an AA sponsor and an NA sponsor. I didn't know what the
There are
fuck
a
I was doing.
lot of people do that.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing though. Like I was, you know, I didn't know that you could only work one person through the steps at a time. Like I can't work myself. You know what I'm saying? Like
Traditionally, you work one round of steps at a time.
I mean, I'm only one person, so I cannot like put myself in 2 elevators at once to go to the second floor. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to choose one elevator and like follow through with that because that's my kind of how I think about it now. But so I'm shopping around for sponsors. Eventually, I meet my sponsor Scott. I'm about 6 months clean, and he's at the meeting and he's sharing about how he's horrible at step 11. And he just like struggles with prayer and meditation. And I was like, you know, sitting there 6 months clean, I'm like, oh man, I got to help this guy out. You know, I go up and talk to him after the meeting, and I'm like talking to him about it. I don't know what I said to him, but I remember thinking like, I'm going to go help this guy out. And
Because you have so much experience with prayer and meditation?
yeah,
At
by
6 months
6
clean?
months clean, yeah.
Of course.
But remember, my original clean date was like a year before. So I had like,
Oh, yeah.
if you put together all the days that I
Yeah.
had, not in a row, you know,
Yeah.
I'm pretty experienced here.
We're
And
running
anyways,
on ego and false pride right now.
yeah, that's the story of my, how my mind worked at my first year clean. The next week, I go to the same meeting. It's this meeting called No Worries Wednesdays in Folsom. And Scott's there, and Scott picks up like a 21-year chip. And I was like, oh shit. This guy has 21 years, you know? Like, it was like insane to me how humble he was talking about how he's like,
Yeah.
I thought it was
Struggling.
like supposed to be good at everything, you know? Like, it had I hadn't met anyone that was like humble. I hadn't experienced humility before, you know? And so I asked him to be my sponsor, and yeah, that's how I got connected. Eventually, like I had two sponsors at the time. Dean did take me all the way through the 12 steps, and but then I like started working with Scott, and Scott knew that I was like, I told him, you know,
Yeah.
I'm telling him everything I'm doing. At this point, I was like being honest because with Dean, or I was practicing honesty. Let's say that because I was
Yeah.
not good at being honest. Even honesty is a practice today. There's layers to everything, you know?
You started phasing out of AA and started focusing more on NA.
Yep. And while I was doing my 9th step, Dean at the time was like, I had lied to my grandparents about what I had done with this money that I was supposed to use for school. And he's like, well, you're going to tell him, right? And I was like, what? I got to tell him? And he's like, yeah. And so I like told my grandpa. And my grandpa like pauses for a second, and he's like, wow, Nicholas, like you really are changing. Like that was like more.
That's the extent of the repercussions for that.
Yeah, but that's like kind of that was the lesson for me. It was like being honest does more for me than the lie did.
Yeah.
You know, like it was. I never had that experience. My grandpa was like, wow. You know, like, because he looked at it like as I got an opportunity to be honest when I did something dishonest. And I didn't see that because I'm a kid, you know? And so I did that. And so that was my first experience with like, oh, I had a good experience with doing something
With a
dishonest.
ninth
And then
step
I was
especially.
I was being honest about it, you know? So yeah, I was like, you know what, if I'm going to do this stuff, like my sponsor's going to know everything, you know, like I'm not going to get anything out of this if I don't tell my sponsor just what's going on in my head. So I'm telling Scott all this stuff. And eventually, yeah, Scott took me into the step study. It wasn't book study, it was step study. We got in there, and it's ironic because they were like trying to figure out how to work this one way of working the AA steps. Because this was like outside of it. They were just doing extracurricular shit. You know, they were all bored. They're all old guys with time in NA, and they were like trying to figure out other things, you know? And I was like, actually, guys, I have done this way. It was like a very specific way that I was like going to, it was like these, like an invite only meeting thing. And so we like went through the steps. Again, my first time through the steps in NA was accidentally through AA. But that wasn't like the extent of it. It was just it was just a coincidental thing, you know?
That sounds confusing.
It was confusing. But yes, so we went, yeah, so we went through, this is just my story, you know? We went through that way. And again, like my life, like was changing. It was changing.
So
Resentments or reservations. Sorry.
Oh, I've had like when I came in.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Reservations then and now.
Yeah, reservations when I came in, I had like everything because I was like, you know, well, the one thing I did do was I did drink at a bar one time legally. So, because I had relapsed, you know? So that was a prior reservation. Like, oh, I always wanted to drink at a bar
Gotcha.
legally, you know?
Yeah.
Once you got clean,
But then it was
though, did you hold on to some?
Yeah, it was like, oh, I want to drink at, you know, my wedding or this party or Christmas, or like if so-and-so dies, you know, if my grandma dies, like I'll, you know, probably get loaded or something like that. Today, it's like, I don't know if I have reservations about getting loaded. I don't think there's anything that would like get me loaded, but there are things that would get me like dead, like kill myself type of things. Like if one of my kids died, like it'd be real hard for me to not want to kill myself, you know, because it's like, oh fuck, I don't want.
Yeah, but I mean, you're like pretty clear-headed now that you can step back and take the big picture in that like you'd be leaving another child and you'd be leaving your wife behind.
Yeah, that's why it's so
family.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at least I wouldn't have to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm saying that
Yeah.
I went through that at 28 years clean. I was like, I was at a point in my life where I didn't want to fucking be here anymore. And the only reason I didn't is because of
how
I
it would
got 3
affect other
kids
people.
and a wife.
Yeah, I get to practice being not self-centered. I don't know what the opposite of that is. Of service.
Yeah,
to
just
others,
the idea of having to deal with the pain of losing a kid or something would just be very heavy, and it would be hard to deal with. Is basically what it sounds like.
Yeah. I think of stuff like, I don't know. I'm more in the public spotlight than I think I've ever wanted to be or thought I would be, and so some things like, and I don't, I live clean today, so I don't think that anything like this would happen. But like, just I think of like being canceled or something like that. Like,
Well, your career is very heavily tied to that concept. Like if that happened, you could, if whatever that is canceled, I'm doing air quotes.
Yeah,
If that happened, it could affect your livelihood.
yeah, for sure.
That's
that's my
probably,
security.
Yeah, that's the
instinct.
fear.
Yeah. Exactly. It's something that affects part of self that I worry about. But yeah. Other than that, like nothing. I don't think that would get me loaded. I mean, I'm also not arrogant. Like I know that if I could get in an accident and be put on some medication just unconsciously, like literally like be knocked unconscious, like in a car accident or something, and be put on something, and then I don't know what's going to happen, like
We don't know.
exactly.
What's gonna happen.
We don't know. So I'm also not arrogant enough to say, oh, I'll never get loaded again, because that's not a factual statement. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
I could slip off the roof, be knocked unconscious. They put me on whatever opioid that
Or
kills
have
pain.
to have a surgery and be in a very painful situation that requires some kind of pain management, which also is scary.
Yeah, and that's the part is that like once it's in me, there's nothing like unless I have like a plan. I mean, even if I have the best plan,
It can go left.
Yeah, it could go left. Exactly. Yeah. So those types of things, like I don't intend on like making the conscious decision to get loaded for anything, but killing myself sounds like is still a solution for me in some regard,
In a twisted
reservation.
kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're not.
I don't
There's-
entertain it at all.
Yeah, there's no ideology,
Yeah.
but just the choice between getting loaded or checking out.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
easier.
I get it.
I'm too connected in NA to like let all you guys down. I'm not gonna.
Isn't that twisted though?
This is fucked
But
up,
you're
yeah.
perfectly fine with checking out.
Correct.
I'm not going to get loaded and let all my friends down, but I'll kill myself.
You don't got to feel any of the shame or the guilt.
Yeah.
Right.
I've never been able to, like, I've had the feeling of like being very detached and like feeling apathetic, and also in the middle of like a difficult phase of my life where I'm like, I have the recognition of like, oh, I could see why somebody would want to kill themselves. Like I understand now for the first time ever, like I can see why somebody would want to do that, but it's never been
An ideology.
yeah, it's never been a thing where I'm like, that's my solution. But like, I understand,
Well, I love my 2 kids so much that it's like, I don't know. It's
And your
weird
wife.
too. Yeah, but especially my
And all
2
your
kids.
friends.
The 2 kids. Yeah,
and
I
your
love,
hobbies and your stuff.
Yeah, but not as much as I love my kids. There's nothing. I don't think that I'm getting a
I
little
get it.
teary eyed thinking about it. Yeah,
I get
like
it.
I never thought that. Like I have this cat, Mr. Lickens, Pussy Lickens.
Jesus Christ.
That's his real name.
His fucking
because
cat.
he licks you, and so his name is Pussy Lickens. It's his real name. But when
Sounds
we
like
got
the name
him,
sounds like the name of a porno, dude.
well, mine is very innocent minded. I didn't want him. My brother found him outside our house, and he's like, "What is this?" And it looked like a rat. And so we found him between 0 and 6 days old because of his eyes weren't open, and His mom left him. And I was like, get that thing, throw it back out of the house, throw it back out of the house. And we kept him, bottle fed him. And I remember feeling like, oh man, I almost threw this thing out. Like now I couldn't imagine my life without him. Well, my kids are like, dude, that times 20 million. Like,
yeah.
I cannot.
It is hilarious. Like asking his very little daughter, like, what's your cat's name? And she's got that tiny little toddler voice. Pussy Dickens. I'm like, no, this is all wrong, Nick. But it's totally Nick's personality too. He giggles when he hears it. He's like, yeah, I created that.
Everyone just calls him Lickens now. But if he's in trouble, got to call him by his full name.
Yeah. So, any other parts of reservations?
I don't think so. I mean, I had a bunch when I came in, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things I never thought I would do. I never thought when I got clean, I never thought I was capable of basically everything that I've gotten to do clean. Yeah.
Don't we always
did
say
you have
that?
anything that you've accomplished that like is your current reality that was actually on your radar when you got clean?
What do you mean? Like,
just like your life, the married, kids, career, stability, sanity, fucking relationships. Could you see any of that?
No, so back to my first, one of the sponsors I was shopping around for, he like made me make a list of all the things that I wanted out of my recovery. Like, and
right. Yeah.
I remember doing that list it was this room. I know like how many months I had because of what room I was in at the tea house.
Yeah.
Like it must have been like 4 months or something. And I really had a crush on this one girl that was at the meetings. And I was like, I want this girl and blah, blah, this thing. And, I want to be rich, but I wasn't willing to get a job or work for it or stuff like that.
So materialistic stuff and status.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
I didn't know that there was like this whole intangible world of stuff I could have that would like actually make me feel good about myself, which was like what recovery has been for me.
The internal stuff.
The internal, yeah. Everything's internal. But yeah, that's my current reality. My current reality is kind of nuts. So I guess we're at this point of talking about stuff that I don't like to talk about. So I have a to-do.
Put a pin in this. Because we're closing up reservations, right?
Yeah, I think reservations are probably closed. We could probably move on to resentments.
Yeah, let's take a quick break.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we'll come back to this.
Okay.
Thank you for hanging out with us today. We really appreciate you being here and being part of this community. Just a quick heads up before we wrap. The people we talk to on this show are just sharing their own personal stories. They do not speak for any specific recovery program or group. It's just their experience, strength, and hope. Well, that's it for now, and please remember that you can follow us on any of your streaming platform that you listen to, and somewhere in there on that streaming platform there is a donate button if you care to help out with our monthly fees that we have to pay to produce each episode, and there's a follow button. There's also somewhere on your streaming platform you can text us and send us a response or email or check-in. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you.